U.S. Democratic presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr., it's a familiar name, testified on Capitol Hill Thursday. He addressed lawmakers on the Republican-led Select Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the federal government. His testimony comes as he faces backlash over his recent anti-Semitic remarks. Multiple Democratic lawmakers had previously urged their Republican colleagues to rescind the invitation for him to testify. So let's bring in CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion to discuss what happened today. Nikole, I want to play for you just two quick sound bites that we heard from a Democrat and a Republican.
It's why Mr. Kennedy is running for president. It's to help us expose and stop what's going on.
They intentionally chose to elevate this rhetoric to give these harmful, dangerous views a platform in the halls of the United States Congress. That's endorsing.
So, Nikole, you can tell by the questioning there, the opening statements from these lawmakers, that they were on two very different sides on this issue. Why exactly was RFK Jr. on Capitol Hill today? What were they hoping to get from him?
Well, this was part of a broader hearing around the issue of censorship, with many House Republicans on this panel alleging that they feel that the Biden administration and the federal government has been censoring Americans in various forms, and particularly when it comes to social media. And keep in mind that Robert Kennedy wasn't the only witness on this panel, that there was also a conservative journalist who wrote about the Hunter Biden laptop story. There was also the Deputy Assistant Attorney General of Louisiana, who was a witness as well, who's part of this Biden versus Missouri case recently that challenged the Biden administration's communications with social media companies when it comes to misinformation with respect to the vaccine. But obviously a lot of the attention was on Robert Kennedy, for the Kennedy name, and for some of these recent controversial comments that he made just days ago, where he suggested that COVID was genetically engineered to ethnically target African Americans and Caucasians, and that Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese people were being spared, and that they're immune to it. And of course, that sparked off a wave of outrage here on Capitol Hill, which is why many Democrats wanted that invitation rescinded to him. In fact, they even tried to stop him from testifying today by trying to go into executive session, which their motion to do that was denied. So really, Democrats spent the better part of this hearing really trying to challenge Kennedy on his remarks, and not just that he made recently, but other controversial statements. He contended that, his comments were being misconstrued, that he is being smeared with labels, that he's an anti-vaxxer, that he is racist, and said that he simply isn't, that he's not anti-Semitic, that it's important to have free speech, and that, these were just labels being put on him to censor him, in effect.
And Bob, Nikole mentions that this was planned. This hearing was planned before he made these comments. But, it seems like Republicans are trying to elevate RFK Jr. as as he's challenging President Biden. What do you make of the campaign so far? Are Democrats taking him seriously at all, or is the strategy just to kind of ignore him?
In 1964, Robert F. Kennedy gave a famous speech at the Democratic National Convention where he quoted Robert Frost when talking about his then slain brother, John F. Kennedy. And the Frost line is about how I still have miles to go before I sleep. I have promises to keep. It's a famous speech. The place was enraptured by RFK being up there on the stage. What did Joe Biden name one of his books, title one of his books? Promises to Keep. When you walk into the Oval Office today, what do you see when you walk in? A bust of Robert F. Kennedy. Robert F. Kennedy, who was killed in 1968, had a million people show up for his funeral train from New York to Washington, remains this iconic figure who vibrated passion for democracy, human rights, and he is someone who has remained a hero to Democrats and some Republicans and independents in the American consciousness. And because of that, Republicans see someone who really is a shadow, the legacy of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s father, over the current president, who sees himself as a Kennedy-style Democrat. And so they're happy to have Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to testify because he brings up this division they want to exacerbate inside of the Democratic Party, though RFK Jr.'s campaign isn't getting much traction. It's being managed by Dennis Kucinich, the former congressman. But for now, it's more of an outsider run.
Yeah, and you saw him sitting behind him there at that hearing as well. We will pay attention to what comes of that. But Bob Costa, Nikole Killion, great to have you both on this. We thank you for your reporting.